Okay. So let me share my screen. Are you guys seeing anything?
Yes.
I'm just going to open the data set. This is the link you shared now, Lokesh.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Okay. So I hope Lokesh, your share screen and all is done, no?
Yes, sir. That is fixed.
So I'm going to use a CSV file. Is that okay? Or you want
Yes.
to use any other format that you want?
I also downloaded CSV.
Okay. Okay, then I just download the data. I call it state CPI because the way it downloaded it, it's called data something. No. So,
Data file.cs.
but I named it state underscore CPI because it's the CPI, no?
Yes.
Before I go any further, who selected this data set?
So I did, and then we like decided collectively upon.
Okay, fine. No, the reason I was asking is, was there any particular reason that this data has been selected?
So I was trying to learn pivoting on my own, and then I was going through data.gov.in, and then this felt like something that I could practice with.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So pivoting all this is good. Okay, great. We'll look at pivoting again today. Um, but it's good for some other reasons also, which we will get to later on. Uh, yeah, okay. And this is the data set. Can you tell a little bit more about this data set? Parthi? Sorry, Lokesh? Anybody? What does this
More
data set mean? Yeah.
tracks the CPI for rural and urban areas in the combined from 2011 to 2023 for the month. So like I think every up until April 2023.
Okay. So, yeah, okay. But then, can you tell me what is CPI?
Consumer price index is supposed to be representative of the common goods and services that we spend money on. And supposed to be a metric for inflation. I didn't understand it that well, so I tried to look at.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I think, yeah, I also don't know much about it. But then, when I was looking through, yeah, basically, it's it's a widely used measure for determining the inflation. Some people, the economists differ. They say whether it is a, they all agree whether it is a, whether it can be representative of inflation or not. Some of them say yes. I mean, all of them agree, but some of them say it's a good measure. Some of them say it's not such a good measure. Those people who say it's a good measure says it for certain reasons in terms of saying that it's representative of a lot of other things over time. People who argue that it's not a good thing, they argue on the basis of it is having some properties of lag in the sense that it may not be representative of the current inflation, but a little previous in time.
Oh,
So, yeah, anyway, that's how people talk about it. I'm not a economist or financial person to give you more about this, but it's a widely accepted measure of inflation, not just in India, but also in the US, in Australia, and many, mostly all countries, right? Okay.
Yes.
Uh, but then the question is, how how was it estimated, and how was inflation estimated from here, right? So I got through this website, which is quite recently updated, July 13th, on what exactly is CPI. They talk about the key takeaways which we already discussed, but they're more focused towards US, the US
Yes.
population. But then I
This is
think
the one that I read.
yeah, some of the learnings is the same, because this is how the CPI is estimated. Um, we also use it for estimating an index for our purposes, right? Bharti, are you aware of any such uses of CPI in public health?
No.
Okay. Lokesh, are you aware of it? No, no. Okay. We use in public health, we use an indicator which is a proxy of uh, socio-economic status, right? So there are a number of classifications,
Yes.
but two of the most common ones are the BG Prasad and
Okay.
Gupuswamy scale, right? They
Yes.
also, one of them also uses the annual CPI to estimate the class intervals. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought you guys knew that before you selected the CPI. Anyway, it's worth having a look at it, because we tend to segregate people on basis of their socio-economic status, right? Lower income, middle income, lower middle income,
Yes.
higher middle income, things like that, right? Or class one, class two, class three, class four, or whatever. It depends on which classification you're talking about, right? Whether it's BG Prasad or modified Goswami scale. But one of them uses this CPI to estimate that class influence. Anyway, but it's also good to understand that we can look at inflation. The way we look at inflation is the new CPI minus the prior CPI divide. So basically, you're getting the percentage change in the sense, right? The
Yes.
percentage change of the CPI gives a representation of the inflation. That's what they try to say. Okay, but then some people argue that CPI is a indicator that can be very easily manipulated by governments. So it can be used to control what the inflation in terms of the general public is and things like that. But everything they say that you have to keep in mind that all these nuances are there for any indicator, and these are the things that you have to also be aware of when you're looking at any data. It's not just CPI, but any kind of data. You have to look at the data not just from what the data is telling, but also behind that thing, right? What exactly we really are trying to estimate here. So, for example, there must be a reason why you're looking at any kind of data, right? For example, we are looking at the CPI data. It might be to find out the differences across states, across time, what is the trend, or we want to find out inflation or whatever. But it's also important that you know the background of things. I hope I'm making myself clear. I'm not confusing you, right?
No,
Yes.
no.
Anand, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I will not go into the details of this, but I found a very interesting article from the, I think, Reserve Bank of Australia, which is talking about inflation and its measures, and this is where we got, I got at least, yeah, this is what it is. But yeah, how to calculate weighted means and all. I don't know if we'll get the time to do this, but yeah, it'll be a very exciting thing for you guys to work on, in the sense that if you can uh, come up with some methods. But yeah, I will not go into this detail, but let us come back to the data. Okay, this is what we have. We have a sector. It's sector, I think it's urban, rural, and total combined, isn't it? Then we have
Yes.
a column called year, which, like you mentioned, is from 2011 to 2023. What is it?
April.
April. Okay. And then you have the name of the month and then which state it is, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, we have quite a bit of data here. I think it's somewhere around 400 rows, is it? 400 something rows, 440 rows,
440.
440 rows
39.
and some. Let us load it into R. Okay,
Yes.
great. Yeah. I was just exploring this. Okay, for those who want to know how to clear the console, it's Control L.
Oh,
You can just go to your console and press Control L. Like for example, I'm typing things here, and I can press Control L, and then everything gets clear. Okay. Okay, for the purposes of this, what I'll do is I'll just copy this. I'll open a new script. Don't worry. I'll open a new script. The first line of the script, what it needs to tell you. I hope everybody agrees that I put the data where it is supposed to be put, right?
yes.
For CP, it's in the working directory. How do I know? I can go to the working directory. This is the working directory in data. There is a file called state underscore CPI. For you, it might be a new project, but I am working on the previous project itself. Okay, just for my own organization. You can do it however you want. Okay, Subarna, we are just looking at the data set that Lokesh shared with us. I hope you had time to look at the data on your own. Are you there, Subarna? Okay, he might have some issues with the audio. He doesn't have a audio connected yet. Okay. Anyway, I hope that if you have any issues, you can just point out to the chat. If I'm not clear or something, if you have any issues, just write something on the chat. And even if I'm not looking, if somebody finds somebody talking on the chat, you can just message. Okay, let me know. Okay, I'll just continue for now. So what is this data? This data is the state level consumer price index of India, state wise. From ideally it has to be from 2011 to April of 2023. Okay, isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, the data I'm just copy pasting the link that Lokesh has sent me. I'm just using two packages for now, tidyverse and here, and I'm loading the data set. Okay. I hope you are now familiar with what I've done here.
Yes.
What did I do?
Loaded the data.
I could have done this easily. I could have said read underscore CSV, and then I open bracket, and then I can say here, and then sorry, yeah, and then I say data or whatever, uh, you know. But I wrote it this way because I clearly know that this is the file I need, and take this file and then read it as a CSV, isn't it? So
So
pipe
is there
means,
any preference between the two approaches?
okay,
Until now,
if
we
it were
always
up to
read
me,
and
I mean, if I really have to break things down, just stepwise, it would be something like this. Okay. Okay. Get my point?
Okay.
Ideally, I mean, if I have to teach anybody, what is the first thing doing and then doing that. See, I'm just taking the file part and then reading the CS. You get my point?
Yes.
But yeah, this is 2 steps, but it's a very good way to write things down logically and break things down modularly. For example, next time when I have to change the file or format, I'll say version 1. Okay. I just have to change the file path. I don't have to fill anything in between, right? You get my point?
Yes.
So these are all, again, my personal preferences. You can do it however you want. There is no right and wrong. But whatever I'm doing, I'm telling you after, a 10-year experience on, I'm just going to give you the best practices. Okay. Not just with me, what works with me, but also the industry. Okay. So whenever you look at documentation, sometimes you're not the only person who is working on a project, right? There'll be 10 people working with you, right? And then you might do it one way, somebody else might do it another way, but then how do you meet in the middle, right? Okay, so I hope this is self-explanatory. I'm not going to break this down any further. How do you look at the data? What is the function that you use?
Glimpse.
Glimpse. Okay, what is glimpse going to tell you? That there are how many rows, how many columns, and what type of row and variable it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Before I go further, has anybody tried to glimpse the data before we got here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You also? Okay,
Yes, sir.
great.
Yes.
Okay, great. That's fine. So, can anybody tell me what are all the variables that are there in characters?
Sector and name.
Sector and name. Great. Parthi, you agree with the answer?
Yes, sir.
Subarna, how about you?
And sir, Himachal
Yes, sir.
Pradesh.
And in between Himachal Pradesh is also in character.
Yeah. Himachal Pradesh. Yeah,
Right.
that's where I was trying to get in. So, there is something in Himachal Pradesh that forced read CSV to read it as a character variable. Okay. So if you really look at the data, this is Himachal Pradesh, right? This one. Scroll down somewhere around 300 or something. Yeah, you find a character which is 2 hyphens. I'm assuming that it is NA, isn't it? Correct or not?
Yes.
Yes,
This
sir.
is what is forced R to consider this variable Himachal Pradesh as a character, because it said that okay, something is dash dash, that would mean it is a character, maybe it means something, or if it was really nothing, you would have named it as NA or left it blank, isn't it? So right now I'm very tempted to change this dash dash into blank or NA. Would you agree?
So he shouldn't be doing that with the source data.
But you shouldn't be doing that, right? The reason you should be doing that is that any manual change you're doing to the source data needs to be documented. No, you're not documenting it. But yeah, there are ways to look at that. Okay, I'll just tell you how. So convert Himachal Pradesh into a numeric. Isn't it? That's what we want to do. Right now, it's a character variable. You're able to see it here, right? And if you would have noticed, anything that has spaces in the variable name is considering it as some special tags have been given around it, right? Andhra space Pradesh, Arunachal space Pradesh, Himachal space Pradesh, Tamil underscore Nadu, Andaman and space Nicobar, right? West Bengal. So wherever spaces are there, it is there is a new annotation or connotation that is used. We'll look at that. So if I want to convert Himachal Pradesh to a numeric, can you guys tell me how I should do that?
I tried it. I just don't know if it worked or not. Like, I just confused.
Sorry?
Sir, I tried one way. I just wanted to see if it works, so we'll just check it.
Okay. Okay. I'll
Yes,
just
sir,
tell
it
you the
works.
most easy and most appropriate way. Okay.
Okay.
And I would like for you to follow that.
Okay.
There are n number of ways you can do it. I don't want to waste your time by telling you all the methods. I'm just going to tell you one method, which will be a little more intuitive in the sense that you want to convert this variable into something else, right? So
Yeah.
mutate is the function that I would like to use because I'm manipulating a variable, mutating a variable.
Yeah.
Variable is a column. What would you like to mutate? Mutate Himachal Pradesh.
We need those backticks.
Yeah, backticks. I'll need those backticks. Okay. Himachal Pradesh is equal to parse underscore double or a number. Parse underscore double Himachal Pradesh.
Okay.
Let us see what will happen. I'll just run it now and just pay attention in the console what is happening. That okay. Now it is giving me I've mutated it, but there's a warning. Okay, there was one warning in mutate. In the argument Himachal Pradesh, parse double Himachal Pradesh, there was one failure. The failure was in row 349 and column is this. Okay, I expected a double, but it was not a double, so it was actually this. Okay, now let me glimpse it. If I glimpse it, now Himachal Pradesh is a double.
Yes.
And that particular row 348, might have been NA. If you want to check it, let us view it instead of glimpsing it. View will open it in a new this thing. Himachal Pradesh 300 and 48, right? 348 Himachal
Yes.
Pradesh. 348 Himachal Pradesh. NA. See? You are getting it what I did?
Yes.
Okay, then you must think, okay, this is an interesting function, parse underscore double. Where is it coming from and does it have any sisters or brothers? Right? You must be thinking that, no, because you don't always want to convert a character into a numeric. It might be possible that you want to convert it into a date or factor or a number of things, right? Let us see if there are any things. This is coming from the package readr. Okay, readr is the package, and the moment I type parse, there are any number of things that come. Parse character, parse date time, parse double, parse factor. If you don't know what it is, you're asking to guess. Okay, that's also possible. Integer, logical, number, time, vector, n number of things you can do. Okay, I hope this is clear. The reason I'm using this function, I'm just telling you one way to do it, is that if you know that one way, you'll know 10 other ways for 10 other things.
Yes.
Okay. So from the readr package, there's a function called parse, and parse has a lot of variants. Parse means convert it, right? I mean, try to do it. And if you don't know what, let us use guess. Okay. Let us use guess and see what will happen. But I'll use glimpse here. When I used guess, it did not work. Okay. There might be a reason why it did not work. If I use number, it worked. Okay. Sometimes you may have to be explicit. Okay.
Yes.
See, double, numeric, number,
Yes, sir.
all three are same. Okay. I mean, same in the sense they mean continuous variable. I hope you know what's a continuous variable.
Yes.
Sorry, not a continuous variable, quantitative, right?
Yeah.
Quantitative variables have two
Yes, sir.
variants again. You know? Continuous and discrete.
Yeah.
The difference is continuous can have a decimal point, whereas discrete cannot have. For example, if I ask somebody what's your BP, he might say 120. Systolic BP, he might say 120, but that means it's not exactly, I mean, it's not 120, it might be 120.0, right? There can be a value of 120.1, 120.5. You're not measuring it, you're just rounding it, but it's a continuous variable.
Yeah.
Agree?
Yes.
But whereas if I ask you how many children you have,
Yes, sir.
you cannot say 2.1 children. Nah?
Mm.
You cannot say 2.8 children or 1.4 children. It has to be either 2 or 1. So here,
Yeah.
the variable number of children is a discrete variable. Though it's a quantitative variable, it's a discrete variable. It has to be represented in whole numbers. Whereas BP, weight, height, anything is a continuous variable, though it's a quantitative variable also, because it can have meaningful decimal points. Am I clear?
Yes.
Sir,
Okay,
I have a doubt.
Sorry?
Yes, sir.
Sir, actually, we use the parts double. It comes under the package reader, but we didn't load the package. So,
Yeah, when I said load tidyverse, sorry, let me just restart the session. Okay, restart. Okay, I'm restarting R. Okay. So all the packages that I have loaded are gone. Okay. But the moment I say library tidyverse, how many packages are loading? We might think only one. Tidyverse was only loading. But you see, it is attaching ggplot, tibble,
7, 8
tidyr,
packages, sir.
readr, per, dplyr, stringr, forecast. In fact, this mutate function is coming from the dplyr package. But you are not saying this, nah?
okay.
Ideally, I should have said this. But since I'm using tidyverse, everything is loaded, and these are all tidy packages. Tidy packages in the sense that uh, they all work together. And that is why everything, if you learn the tidy way, it's all going to help you out, because if you know how to parse a number or a double or an integer, you definitely know how to parse a character.
Okay.
I'll just show you an example. Okay. The example is that I'm parsing Himachal Pradesh as a double. It can definitely be possible that I can parse. Okay, maybe DF is not there. My environment is empty, no? Now my environment has this file path also and DF also. Okay. So if I take DF and I look at Kerala and I look at its class, what should its class be? Come on. It's a numeric.
Double only.
Yeah, double numeric, or but when you say class, it's a numeric.
Okay.
It can mean double also, float also, n number of things. But yeah, the class is only certain things, right? It's a character. It can, I mean, classes are characters, factors, numerics, logical. These are all dates. Date is a class again. Like for
So
example,
when we specified double or integers, so those are like, what are those called if they are not called class?
I would call it subclass. I mean, I'm not a programmer. I don't know what it exactly is, but maybe I'll get back to you on that. Okay.
Okay.
But for example, if you look at sysdate is today's date, system date, right? But when I ask it what is the class of this, it'll give you that it's a date. Okay. So for example, Lokesh, what is the class?
Character.
The character. Okay. So if you guys would have done the primers again, all the types of variables would be very clear. So there, yeah, I would request you to once again visit the primer. Okay. Types of variables primer. That will give you very good clarity. Fine. Okay.
Sir, what is the meaning of sys.date?
Oh, it is actually looking at the system date. If I run this sysdate, it is going to give you today's date. I can say sys.date.
Okay, sir.
So for example, if I want 10 days before today, okay, minus 10, it's going to give you 8th. Or if you want 20 days from now, that's 7th of August.
System date means the date which is set on the laptop or computer in which we are working.
Today's date. I mean, yeah, if
Today's
you're, if you have set your system date to be 2011, it will say that 2011 is the date. Okay.
Yes.
But nowadays, computer is connected to the internet and everything, and
Internet,
set
yes,
things
sir.
for your time zone and all of that is perfect, right? Earlier we had to set things and all of that. Now
Yes,
they made us difficult. But yeah, DF Kerala is a numeric. Okay. So if I want to convert this into a character, I can parse character. And then it says that error in vector is character is not true. That means there is no way I can convert this to a character.
But sir, all it would take is for that to be put into quotation marks.
But if I do this as dot character, will work. Okay. The reason is as dot character is like if you are writing 1 as male and 0 as female, 100 males are there and 100 females are there. Okay, and then you ask it what is the mean of the gender, and it will say 0.5.
Yes.
Isn't it? But does that mean the mean of the gender is 0.5?
No, sir.
No. It should tell you that, see, you're looking at gender, which does not have a meaningful mean, right? You can get percentages and proportions, not the mean. So that is what this is trying to say. When you say parse character, it's looking at the variable and saying that, no, I cannot parse it as a character, right? The reason is it's not a character. Not even one of them is a character. But if I ask it to parse Himachal Pradesh as a character, it will say that, okay, I will try. Okay, it will try because of one reason. Let me try this. Yeah, it has worked, no? Himachal Pradesh has worked. Why?
Yes.
Because of
Because
this.
of the 340.
Okay. It said that, okay, one of it is a character. That means maybe you tried to, right? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe you wanted to mean that everything is a character, but I took it as a number. But yeah, now I'll make it into all a character. You get my point?
Yes.
So there are some inbuilt checkpoints that have been built in tidy way of things. Okay. Just to ensure that you are not doing things wrong. But if you really wanted to convert it into a character, then you would say as dot character. Okay. Then it will convert everything to into character. I hope I'm making sense.
Yes.
So is there any function
Yes.
called as double?
Parse double.
As AS dot double.
There is
Like
as
AS.
dot numeric.
Okay, sir.
Okay. That also means as double only.
Okay, sir.
Right now, if I did this, it will automatically say that, okay, I tried to convert this into a numeric, and this I made it into NA. This will work definitely. But
Okay.
then when we used parse double, what it said was, see, it was explicit. It said that, okay, there is one value that was having a dash. Okay, that is this. See,
Okay.
actually it is dash dash, but I expected a double, so it was not a double, so I made it into NA.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah, now that this parse double thing is done, so we have converted. I'm going to assign it here. Okay, let me just run it all from top again, just to ensure that everything is in place. Okay, you got this right?
Yes.
Okay. So, what do we do next?
This ID.
Okay, now you would want to see right now all the states are columns, right? You look at the data, and from Andhra Pradesh, I think 1, 2, 3, 4 to whatever it is, they're all columns, but it is not the right way. No.
Yes.
Interestingly, Bihar has no data. Bihar, Arunachal Pradesh, many states have no data. Anyway, at least in the beginnings. Okay, let us pivot. Data. The states which are columns, individual columns. Isn't it?
Yes.
The reason I'm writing this is that now you will appreciate when we work on an R markdown. Okay. So whatever you're thinking, whatever you're writing, it's for yourself. So you can describe it. Okay. I downloaded the data. I looked at the data. I found out that Himachal Pradesh had a particular row. It had 2 dashes, right? Now I converted that into this thing using parse double. Okay, now I want to convert. Now the problem with this data is that all the states are written as individual columns. Now I want to make all of those individual columns into a single column of state and then have the values as CPI. You can write all of that, and in between you can give the code to work it out. Let us first work it out, and then I'll show you what is the good practice to do that. And I will definitely tell you that or advocate that you use R markdowns for more detailed descriptions, right? Because it's when things that you are doing it going to do for a long time. Because if you are working only on something for an hour, there's no point to document it. But if you want to work on something that will come back again and again and again, you forget what you did before and things like that, it's always a good practice to actually document it in this way. Okay, I'll show you later on. But then yeah, we want to pivot it, right? Now, what is the function for pivoting? You want to pivot it longer or wider?
Longer.
See, Bharti and Subarna and Lokesh, what we are trying to do is that we have data in this way. We have
Okay.
Kerala, we have Andhra, we have Assam, we have multiple columns. What I want to do is that I want a column called state.
Okay.
Okay. Because if you remember the data, the tidy rules, there are 3 main rules. What are the 3 main rules? The 3 main rules are all columns are variables. Okay. As of right now, state is a variable.
Okay.
But there is no particular variable, right? It's there in multiple columns. We need to make it into one column, isn't it?
Yes.
So that is why
Yes,
we
sir.
want to pivot the long format, sorry, wide format into a long format, right? So I'll say pivot underscore longer, and then the data is DF. You have to specify the columns. Okay. So if you see, the first three columns or sector, year, name are not the ones I want to touch.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to take the next columns and then pivot it. So I can say calls equals to, what should I do? Either I have to tell that, okay, Andhra Pradesh to Puducherry. That
-1.
also works. So if you look at the way the help menu, it says that columns is anything that select text, tidy select. Okay. So for example, if you want to select those columns, all the states, I can say minus C 1 to 3. So now it's from Andhra Pradesh to Puducherry. Okay.
Yes.
Or I can say dear select Andhra Pradesh to Puducherry. It's also the same. Okay. Or I can say dear select 4 to, how many are there? 39, na?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It all works. All of them works. The reason is all of them works with select also, na? That is why. Get my point?
Yes.
So you'll be free to use any of these three. So I would use 4 to 39. Then this is the output. It says that, okay, I'm not going to touch the first three columns. Okay. Then I'm going to pivot all the column names as a column called name, and all the values in that cells as values. I can be a little more explicit in the sense I can say names to state and values to CPI. So then it would say, okay, you want all the names to go now. All the column names are now going into the column called state and CPI as CPI. The reason I had done this before, okay, the reason I have parsed things before is that now imagine, let me again restart my session. Let me restart R or terminate R, is it? Terminate R. So basically what I'm doing is I'm starting a fresh session. Okay, environment is empty and you get this beautiful, short stop legal version or whatever. Okay. So now I'm again going to load the data. Okay. I loaded the data. Okay. But if I directly pivot it, will it work?
So that was the issue I was running into because of Himachal, but I didn't have the same.
It will not work because it is going to say that, okay, now you're asking me to put all the states into one column. But Andhra Pradesh is a double, Kerala is a double, Madhya Pradesh is a double, everything is a double, but Himachal Pradesh is a character. So I cannot do it. Maybe you can do it, but I cannot convert a double into a character or character to a double. So that is how I knew that there was something wrong with Himachal Pradesh. And then when I looked at Himachal Pradesh, I found out that there are 2 dashes. Okay. So one other reason for you to work in the tidy way of things is that any kind of these errors will be picked up. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I know that I have to do this. This is an intermediate step. I've done this intermediate step. Now I'm running this and then it has no problem to do it. Okay. I hope you are getting it.
Yes.
Okay. So this is all the ways that we are selecting it. I'm not okay. This is, let me call it as PF long one, the first version of long. Okay. The reason I'm using the first version of long is for some other reason. Okay. Now, tell me what to do next. Now that you have the data in the long format, imagine you want to find out what is the average CPI for each of the state. Is it a sensible question that you want to see? That's where your exploring data means, if you learned, heard in the first boring sessions that I took, what Cox, Tukey, yeah. What John Tukey was talking about is it's a detective work, right? Exploratory data analysis is a detective work. You need to ask questions, you need to query it, and then you need to come up with the answers, and then ask more questions based on those answers, right? So what I would like to ask you is that what would be a meaningful question to ask from this data?
So we could track how CPI changed over time to see.
Sorry?
So we could track how CPI changed over time for a particular state, or
You want to track the change in CPI over time for a particular state. Okay. That's a complex question. Let me write it down. Track change in CPI for a particular state over time. This is the question that you want to ask, right?
yes.
Question one, Lokesh. Okay, great. Yeah, this is a complex question, but then I'd like to ask a follow-up question for you. Okay. Why would you like to track the change in CPI for a particular state over time?
So to initially just see whether there is a trend of it rising or falling.
Okay,
And
first,
then,
you're saying to see. I'm just trying to get your understanding to see if there is a trend. What if there is a trend? You want to see it's a upper trend or a lower trend or things.
yes, and then just compare it against whatever the government so for what under what tenure it goes up or
Compare
goes
it
down.
what? Compare it with
So the ruling party or whatever the present government is during that period of time.
ruling party or
Political question.
Yeah, okay. Political reasons. Okay, whatever. Okay, I think okay, that's a very interesting.
Sir, another
I think
question.
that's a very interesting purpose. Okay. Okay. Now, okay, Subarna, I'll give you the chance now. What question would you like to ask? Or you
Sir,
want
I
me to
want
ask
to.
something else? Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir. I want to see the mean CPI of India states and want to see which state is above the mean or below the mean CPI.
Is this what you're trying to say?
Yes, sir.
But why would you like to do this?
To compare number of states which has CPI below the mean of the country.
Is this what you want to try to say?
Yes, sir.
But then I have a few follow-up questions to this also, but I'll let you relax for now. What about you, Parthi or Anand? Do you have a question you want to query?
I want to compare this decadal CPI of the East states, which is doing better in the 10 years, which is static, which is going down kind of. We can't call it decadal, it's 13 years, but this time period.
You want to compare the decadal growth in CPI
Yes, of
across,
various states, which has been doing very good, which is static, which is going down kind of.
isn't it? Is this
Yes.
what you want to do? Why?
To know the economic growth of the states, which is comparatively doing good in economy.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, Anand, you now.
Okay, sir. I had a question, but I don't know whether it is a valid question. I want to know
There are no invalid questions.
Okay, sir. Actually, I want to know the difference in CPI over time between the rural and urban areas for every state.
For a state, you want to see how the difference in rural and urban gaps are going on
Yeah.
across time or across states. Can you reframe your question?
Sir, actually, I wanted to know about the difference in CPI over time for a state.
Okay, great. Yeah. Why do you want to know that?
To know more about the sir, already you told that it's an indicator of inflation. So, want to know how the state is improving or no, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fine. We can come. I hope that if you know, I'll come to first location. I'll come in the reverse order. Okay. If I know the difference in CPI for a time of a state, and I know that some places or at some time inflation was high and inflation was low, what then?
Then we have to search for the reasons, maybe some other reasons.
Okay. Okay. I'm happy with that question. I mean, that answer. That means that would prompt more questions.
Yes.
Isn't it? Why
Yes.
is this inflation high? Is it inflation high across all the board or only across urban or only in some states in urban, only in some states in rural? See, those are the questions that you'll get once you answer this question. You get my point?
Yes.
So this, okay, now Parthi, what if you know some states are doing better?
The states which have better economic policies, better government, stable government to do things.
Okay, then you would like to see, okay, what are the factors that has influenced the state to do better economically?
Yes.
Right? What are the differences in those states that have done better and that have done worse? You can compare both of them and then see, okay, is it because of this? Is it because of that? Is that what you're trying to get at?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, Subarna, yours was second question, no?
Yes, sir.
Now
My
we know the number of states which are below the country's average. Then
yes, then we will try to explore the reasons behind that.
okay. Or you're asking that. Look at the question. You said you want to compare the number of states before, I mean, below the country's average and all. So imagine in
Yes, sir.
2011, 18 states are below average. Then
Yes, sir. We will see year-wise. It is increasing or number
okay,
of states
fine.
is increasing or decreasing.
Okay, I'll Lokesh, I also get what you will be trying to get at is that you also would like to see what are the drivers of this economic change, right? Drivers of
Yes,
CPI.
Sir,
But
actually, I used to have this idea back in college with my roommate about data-driven campaign for politics, just as a casual conversation. So this felt like the first time. So I have in my head this plot that could be made potentially of
yeah,
tracking rural and urban over time for a particular state. And if it is
great, great.
possible, then to put like vertical lines which mark the tenure of different political parties.
Yeah, that's totally and definitely possible. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but then you also have to appreciate that the tenure and COVID and economic policy, all of that are coming
Yes, sir,
from
definitely
different other
confounding
data
factors.
sets.
Yeah.
That data is not there here, right?
Yes.
Is that data here?
No, that data is not.
That data is not there,
Hmm.
right? That data
no,
is
sir.
elsewhere or non-existent.
Yes.
So sometimes when you're asking questions, those questions might seem quite relevant, quite pertinent, but the data might not be able to answer those questions, or the data that you have might not be able to answer those questions. But they will give you insights on what data you might require, or where those data must come from. Or whenever you're talking about this kind of data sets, you should also have one more data set which is saying that in which state, sorry, in this,
The
in which
duration.
year, which was the ruling party, and
Yes.
was this ruling party the same as the national ruling party,
Yes, sir.
or was
That
it
is
in the
important.
same coalition? That's also important, right?
Yes.
So anyway, so all of that is also important. But what I'm trying to get at is the way you need to think is also a little more, nuanced, because every question that you answer will give rise to 10 more new questions. Okay. But if you, to get that answer, if you're waiting for 1 day or, half an hour, you might lose track of all the 10 other questions that might come. Right? You want to say something, then somebody interrupts you, and then you'll get lost of what you wanted to say, right?
Yes.
Similarly, that latency in answering questions should decrease, and that is where R is powerful. That is what I'm trying to get at. Okay. So now let us very quickly start to answer the questions that you guys have asked, right? But then I would like to, would you want to answer these questions on your own, or do I have to do it for you?
From afternoon, actually, I tried this GG plot for various types, but I didn't get any plot.
Okay. 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 So what I'll do is, I'll try to bring out some new challenges to you. Okay.
Okay.
So when you looked at this data, that's why I was saying that this data set is very, interesting and very apt for the kind of data that we usually work with. Is that you are able to see the CPI column, no?
Yes.
So let us come first one by one. Would you be okay if I shift to R Markdown?
Yes.
You guys will be okay. So now that we have the questions here, maybe these questions we can try to answer in R Markdown. Will it be
Yes.
okay with you? Great. What I'll do is I'll just copy this. I'll open a new R Markdown file. I'll call it exploring CPI.
So when you are showing your modular structure for how you like use your script, you mentioned that source function.
Oh yeah.
So even R Markdown can do source, right? Or
Yeah. It can do. You want me to show that?
last time when we were like doing my
Yeah,
data, that time you were asking
I'll
to
do
copy
one thing.
paste.
Okay, I'll just save this. I'll call this CPI. Sorry, CPI. exploration. I'll just put today's date. The reason I'm putting today's date is we might come back to this data set again. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll open a new R Markdown script. What is the file that we saved? Sorry.
Explore CPI exploring. Okay.
Let me restart the session. Let me save this first. This will go into my folder called let me restart my session. I always confuse. Anyway, I do both when I want to restart. It's a good practice to restart because that means that you're confident that
Reproducible.
you have documented everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now let me knit it and see if it works. My environment is empty. Okay. But then if it is able to, okay, did not work. Why so? Echo is to include response. This is why. Huh? I must have, yeah, anyway, let me just. It worked, huh?
Yes.
Earlier it did not work because the option was set to include equals to false. That means don't include anything in the data set. And I would have panicked if I did not see this. I would say, well, okay, that means it's not working, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, this works now, right? See, earlier we had this many rows and now we have converted it and then see this is how it is. You're confident that it is working?
Yes.
Okay. What the source is doing is that you can put all your loading the data packages and everything in one place, and then you can just bring that make it run that analysis in a separate file. Okay. Lokesh, this is what you wanted to find out, right?
Yes, sir, yes. Because last time we had copied my code into that markdown file. I wanted to know if we can directly just call it something.
Yeah. But what I'll do for now is I will copy it here. Okay, just for others' sake. Just that we have demonstrated that it will work.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now we have included the data. I don't want to include this. Okay. What are the 4 questions that Shruti, you are a little late. We have actually gone a little further.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, but I hope you can look at the recording and have an idea.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
I'll
basically, you have looked at the data set on your own.
no, sir. I did not open it. I just opened it. I mean, I didn't go through it as such.
Okay. Okay. From this data set, we came up with 4 questions. Okay, that
Okay.
we want to answer. That is what we'll be trying to answer now. Lokesh has asked, to track changes in CPI for a particular state over time. And I think this is Subarna, na? No. Who was this?
Yes, sir. Second question is from
Subarna. Subarna was asking what is the mean CPI of the country and to see which states are above and below the country's mean. And Parthi wanted to look at the decadal growth of CPI across different states to know what are the better performing states and not. And
Okay.
Anand wanted to know the difference in CPI over time for a state, just to know about how it's affecting inflation, because CPI is a very important indicator that reflects inflation. The percentage change in CPI is nothing but inflation. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So now what we're trying to do is we're trying to answer these 4 questions. Meanwhile, you can also come up with a question. Okay. I think we have time today, no? Yeah. We are on track. Okay. No issue. Questions. Okay. What I'll do is we all learned R markdown, na? Last time, isn't it?
Yes.
Questions to answer. Okay. Now the first question. Track change in CPI of a particular state. Okay. Sorry. So which state are you looking for?
So Maharashtra.
Okay, Maharashtra. We are looking to track the change in isn't it? Isn't it, Lokesh?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Now, ideally, after you have, this DF long one, right? DF long one is the data set that you're working with. What I'll do is I'll just run this also so that we know in my working environment there is a DF long one. Okay. Okay. We're taking this DF long one.
Yes.
This is the data set. Okay. And we are only looking for selecting Maharashtra, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you say that?
Filter with state is double equal sign.
Okay. So this is the one, isn't it? Now we have for rural, urban, and rural plus urban. What do you want to do it for? Let us look for combined for now. Okay.
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yes.
I can do this. No, I need not put n. I can say sector equals to okay.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Now I have the name and year and sector. Now I need to create a x-axis, right?
Yeah.
You want to plot it, no?
Yes, sir.
So when you want to plot it, you have to think about what your x-axis and your y-axis needs to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
X-axis here is supposed to be the month and year, and your y-axis needs to be the CPI. Am I wrong or
Yeah.
right?
You are right.
So now the challenge is to create a from these character and double, right? Character, which is the name of the month and year. Ideally, what should happen is that we should have renamed our name as
Yeah,
month,
2 months. Yeah.
isn't it? So we can do it right at the beginning itself in our source file, which we have brought it here, or actually here itself. Ideally, we should do it here, no? Isn't
Yes.
it? Rename
Month is equal to
month equals to name, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there are in an R chunk, there are three things, three buttons. The gear button, which will give you the chunk options. There is a run current chunk button, which will run the particular chunk. And there is this middle button. What this middle button will do is it will run everything that is on the top. Okay.
Oh.
So I can just run this. And now I can see in my DF long one, it is month.
Yeah.
Able to see?
Yeah.
Okay. So now what I can do is I can say that mutate okay, I want to introduce to a new package now, which is called lubricate. Okay, lubricate. Like lubricate, it is lubricate. Okay, I'll just open a what do you call it? The
Do we already have it or will we have to install it?
it depends on whether you used it before or not. It's the easiest way to get lubricate is to install tidyverse.
Oh.
So it's automatically installed in your computer.
Oh.
Okay. But you need to call lubricate. You need to say library lubricate. Okay. Library lubricate. And then you have this n number of ways you can do it. You can basically it's the best way to treat dates, months, years, time, whatever. You can go to your get started. So yeah, this is what we had, right? Time zones and time intervals and arithmetic times and all of that. So let me very quickly test something. Okay, in DF here, as of right now, the class is what's the class?
Character.
No, it's
Okay,
numeric,
no.
na?
Yeah, I saw the
Here,
number.
here.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I can take DF here and convert it lubricate here, it will say origin is not supplied. Say just 1 second. Huh? Maybe I also need a help. What is the best way to look for help?
F1.
F1.
or
Question mark and the prefix.
or Google it, no?
Mm.
Convert. Okay, and there are 2-3 approaches you can go for here. One is you can convert January, February, March, April, May as integers. You can convert them as 1, 2, 3, 4 till 12.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you can add month and year together to create a
then
date
convert
object.
it.
Okay, so that's one approach, but let us try that if it will work or not. Okay, so we are taking df and then we have mutate it's month. What did we put it as? Month. Month.
Yes.
Month. Do not find function as date. The reason is we have to say library lubricate. Huh?
Yeah.
Lokesh, if you noticed, I had to put here on top because I was using the source here. Okay, even though my source had included the packages, sometimes it will only work when you have a package install library called, right? I hope you agree with that.
Yeah.
Says the format is wrong. I would agree, but where is my help menu? Convert month as okay. What did they say? They say lubricate so and so. Okay, month, day, year. So what I can do is I can directly say df mutate date. Okay, let me call it date equals to paste what?
Year and
Capital M, no? Month and year. Separators would be this. Where is the last one? Oh, sorry.
what is that additional dash at the?
Sorry?
There was
Yeah.
an extra dash.
Yeah, actually, it is paste month and dash, but I need to say that separated by dash. So now you see what will happen is that if you go to the last thing, it will be pasted like January. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let me try if mutate lubricate will understand that this is a date object. Date equals to it is month and year. Month, year, is there something? Let me add 01 to everything. Will that be okay? It's the first of every month. Would you agree?
Is that
No.
like a standard practice?
It's not a standard practice. For things to work now, just to test it, I'm checking. Lubricate. It is day, month, year, no? Isn't it? Day, month, year of date. Two of them failed to parse. I think maybe there might be an issue why it was. But yeah, it has given us the date. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to really look at what of those things failed to parse, I should have given you. These two did not work, right? The last two,
Yeah.
why did they not work? Because the names March and August was written wrong. Interesting, no?
Yes.
Would you want to correct it?
Yes.
How would you correct it?
Case when seems like one option.
Case one is one option, case when is another option. Yeah, good. Let us see. Okay. Let us do it here itself. We're doing what we'll do is we'll just go up. We can just pipe it here.
Yes.
We already renamed it as month. So what we'll do is mutate month equals to case underscore when month is August, this August, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I've written the syntax wrong. Okay.
Okay.
May see RH. And otherwise, if it is true, then it is month. I hope you guys agree with what I did.
Yes.
See, these are the things I would have preferred that you did. Okay. You guys are
Yes, sir.
forcing me to again do the same things that we were doing all the time before. You know? You could have done this and you could have asked, I could have asked you to share screen and things. Anyway, let us go through this. Now, yeah, now let me run the top, run this. So now there is no error. There is no NAs in the date.
Hmm.
Everything is accounted for. See, there are no NAs in the date. That means we have corrected everything. Okay,
Yes.
great. Now that we have done this, ideally, this is a variable that we are creating. You know? It should go. Where should it go? It should go above, where we are actually doing the manipulations, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is what modular code means, right?
Hmm.
This actually should be, isn't it? Cleaning data. Okay. So let me run the top one. So now we have ideally created our y-axis, no?
Yes.
Sorry, x-axis, right?
Yeah.
Now that we have filtered, we are now going to ggplot. Am I wrong?
No.
Why is there a let's try. Busy plot. You want a geom line?
Yes, sir.
Geom line with aesthetics of x equals to
Date.
date, y equals to CPI.
CP.
See? So is there inflation?
Yes, sir.
I think that is a far-fetched statement because inflation is the percentage change, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is the percentage change of the previous value to the current value
Mm.
divided by the previous value into 100.
Mm.
Isn't it? If you remember,
The web page you are seeing at the start.
let me just. Anyway, I think I closed that. I think I've closed that anyway. I think, yeah, it's here. No, it's not here. Where was that?
That was above only.
Huh?
It was somewhere in this page I saw it, like inflation rate.
Somewhere in this page only, huh? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
New CPI, prior CPI, and things. Okay.
Yeah.
But then I'd like you to look at this plot that you have just created. Okay. This is the plot that you have just created. You see, there's a gap here.
Yes.
What about that gap? Let us look at the data. PF long one. Let us filter only Maharashtra and filter only rural plus urban.
Data not available.
There's some values missing, is it?
Yes.
So in 2021, yeah, these three values are missing.
Yeah.
March, April, May. Okay. In real world data sets, this is how you have. I mean, this is Maharashtra is the data that you actually have things perfectly. I mean, only three of them are missing.
Yeah.
But, if you look at Arunachal Pradesh,
Mm.
NA, Bihar, NA, Delhi also, Nagaland, Rajasthan, Sikkim, Telangana, Uttarakhand. Yeah, there are a lot of things that are missing. These are just in the starting ones. If you actually look at the total thing, there'll be a number of other missing values.
Yeah.
Right? How do you find out what are the missing values?
Comes to function.
So, for example, there is a function called skim_r. In the skim_r package, there is a skim function which allows you to look at the let's take here. So it says that okay, 440 rows, 40 columns, 2 of them are characters, one is the date, numeric, sector, 0 of them are missing, month, 0 of them are missing, everything is complete. Date, none of them are missing, complete, yeah, everything is fine. But look at Andhra Pradesh, 10 of them are missing. 10 out of 440, right? 440 rows, right?
Yes.
440 rows. Arunachal Pradesh 381. Hai. Look at the missing percentage. I mean, the unique percentage. I mean, complete percentage is 97.7 for Andhra Pradesh. For Arunachal Pradesh, it is only 1.3%. That means 99% of the data is missing.
Yeah.
Right. So what do we do for these? So that's what I was mentioning when I said you have a very nice data set here. Is that you have data that is a real world data set, right? Even though this is consolidated and monthly, yearly averages of state level things, you have quite a bit of missing data. So how do you deal with it? So when you actually look at the literature of how to deal with missing data and things like that, there are actually literally there are books which talk about how to deal with missing data. So if I'm not wrong, there are 4 categories, right? Missing completely at random, missing at random, missing with pattern. There are 4-5 different classes there also. So how do you deal with it? It could be that, see, right now, from what I know, that it's not random. Why is it not random?
So for this particular case of Maharashtra or in general?
Just what you're looking at. Is it random?
No, it's a continuous net.
No, it's not. I mean, I'm just telling you, it's the lockdown.
Yeah, yes, sir. This I understood.
And I'm sure that if Maharashtra has this pattern, every other state will have this pattern.
Yeah.
Get my point? There is no state that has 0 missing values. Maharashtra has 9 missing values. Every other, the least number of missing values is 9.
Yeah.
So all of the states, for example, let us take Manipur. Okay, I'm just going to change this one variable, Maharashtra, to Manipur, and then see if the plot has any changes. It also has this missing value. Okay, so this is not missing completely at random or missing at random. There is a pattern to this. Okay.
Yeah.
Whether you know what it, so how will you decide what this value should be? Or are you going to remove this value? So how do you treat missing values? That's a whole different ball game. Okay. Usually what we do is, let us put the mean. That's what we do, na?
Yes.
Okay. First thing we do is we remove those. How many? Yeah. NA हटा देते हैं. But NA अगर हटा देंगे तो meaning बदल जाएगा ना, because it's a continuous time space.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, agree?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to remove NAs? No, you cannot remove NAs here because that would change the whole dynamics of the whole this thing. So what would you do now? Would you want to replace it with a value? So replacing NA with the value is also sensible, right? That's
Yes,
the only
sir.
option you have. And
Yes, sir.
replacing an NA or a missing value is called imputation. Okay, you must have heard the word now.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Imputation. Okay, so now the challenge is, or now the question here is, how do you impute? Are you going to impute it with, now we all do this imputation, na? We impute it with the mean or median or mode, whatever, right?
Yes, sir.
So let us try one by one. Let us try to impute this with the mean. Okay. So we go here and then we say mutate. Mutate what? Mutate CPI, right? CPI
Yes.
equals to if else is dot NA CPI, then mean of CPI NA dot RM equals to true, otherwise CPI. Are you getting what I did?
Yes, sir.
I said if CPI is NA, then you replace it with the mean of CPI. But because CPI has NAs, remove those NAs when you're estimating the mean. Otherwise, if it is not, otherwise you use the own value what it is there, CPI itself. Okay. Now let us see. What happened?
Okay.
It imputed. But it imputed with the mean because from year to year, the mean is here. Agree?
Yes.
Would you like to go with this method?
No, sir.
No.
No. Yeah. So now the challenge is how do you impute time series data? For that, we need to be on the same page on time series. So I'm just telling you because time series is an auto-correlated data. Okay. You must have heard the word correlation.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Can you give me one example of real world example of correlation that you see in real life? Anything?
The temperature and evaporation.
Temperature and
Evaporation.
evaporation. Great. Okay. You mean to say that higher the temperature, greater the evaporation.
Rate of yeah.
Yes.
That's a positive correlation, right?
Yeah.
I hope how many of you have gone through those, list of resources that I shared on basic statistics?
I had time after that, but it slipped my mind. I started looking into more R things instead of doing that.
Okay. It would be a great thing if you guys, I mean, it'll be a great help to me. It'll definitely help you. Maybe you'll not realize it now, but it'll really build the concepts. Okay. So when we're talking about correlation, it really means how much one variable is varying or related to another variable, right? There needs to be two variables when we talk about correlation, isn't it?
Yes.
Correlation means two
Yes,
variables needs to be there, na?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what example you have given, if one is increasing and the other is also increasing, that's an example of a positive correlation. Okay. There is something called as a negative correlation as well. Negative correlation is when something increases, the other thing also decreases. What is the example?
Yes.
Can anybody give me an example of a negative correlation?
Exercise and cardiovascular disease risk.
Exercise and risk of cardiovascular disease. Okay. I would say it's a, I would not say, have you heard of HOCM?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir. But
Yeah. So would you like to give a better example, Shruti?
better, yes.
Any other example? Age and hair fall.
Age and hair fall.
No, it's positively related. No.
It's positive relation, sir.
Age and attractiveness, isn't it? Handsomeness. Oh, maybe. Yeah, I don't know if people are into older people and all. I don't know. But yeah, let us all agree that that's a negative correlation. Okay, I'll not spend more time here. But yeah, and the point being, for correlation, we talked about two variables, right?
Yeah.
You were saying something?
No, so I said that because you mentioned two variables, I understood what you meant by. I think I understood what you meant by autocorrelation.
Autocorrelation means something is related to itself. For example, TPI is related to itself in time. Okay. In the sense that if CPI was low last year or last month, it will also be relatively low or relatively high. For example, what I'm trying to say is that if I measured your blood pressure now, it might be systolic BP, it might be 120. If I measure it after 10 minutes, it might be 130. If I measure it after 10 minutes again, it might be 140. But it won't be 190, na?
Yes.
It might be, but there's less chance, right?
Yes. The
So
longer the time
every
series,
value is dependent on its own value beside itself. So at time t, CPI or value x is dependent on what it was at t minus 1 or t plus 1. You're getting the notation, right? I introduced
yes.
you to the time series notation, t and t plus 1, t minus 1. Okay.
Yeah.
That was nothing but the prior CPI and current CPI and things. Okay.
Yes.
The CPI at time t is related to the CPI at time t minus 1. That is an inherent property
Yes.
of time series objects or time, anything that is related to time, right? You get my point? That
Yes,
is
sir.
why your conventional assumptions of linear regression or linearity will not be accepted here. It's violated because linearity assumption, the linear regressions or assumptions of a linear regression is that every variable is independent of each other, right? It's not dependent on something else. That is why you look for something like multi-collinearity and things like that, right? You all heard of those terms?
Multivariate.
Yes, sir.
I
Correlate.
heard.
Just 1 second, I'm getting a call, please. Okay, sorry. Are you able to hear me? Just 1 second, I'm
Yes,
getting a call again. Yeah, I'm not able to hear. Anyway, so I hope you are getting the point of what is autocorrelation, right? This concept of autocorrelation is not only inherent to time series objects, but also spatial objects, right? In the sense that if the temperature here in Trivandrum is 30 degrees, temperature in Kollam will be closer to 30. Or what I'm trying to say is that the temperature in Kollam will be closer to what the temperature in Trivandrum is rather than what the temperature is in Kashmir, right?
Yes.
You getting my point?
yes.
Yes, sir.
So closer things are related more towards each other rather than farther things. Similarly in time also, right? Unless there is a high fluctuation and things, you cannot do anything. That knowledge, randomness, and stochasticity. I mean, process of random, happenings. You get my point?
Yes.
Okay. That is why sometimes when in spatial regression or spatial analysis or time series analysis, you need to be wary of how you're imputing data. Okay. So it might feel sensible when you say that, okay, all missing data has been mean dal denge. We'll put the mean as it might make sense for any other variable, but if it is related to time, these kind of issues might occur. Are you? I don't know if I'm getting my point across. I hope you appreciate what I'm trying to say.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You would have been like,
Maybe you will have to do your own reading. You will have to formalize all this. Today's discussion is not about time series or imputation. It's more about how the approach to this can be. Okay. So again, we are looking at each of the questions that you have asked. But before we get there, let me very quickly show you very interesting. I've used this package many times, and it's one of the industry standards, I would say. It's called impute TS, okay, impute time series. So this document talks about how you can impute time series data for missing values. Okay. There is a lot of theory that goes in, and there is a lot of statistical processes that goes in, but it breaks down into 5 or 6 functions that you can use, and it's very easy. If you get time, you just have a look at this. But NaLOCF for example, now the value is missing. Okay, but you would like to use the previous value. You would like to impute it with the previous value. So LOCF stands for last observation carried forward, if I'm not wrong. Okay, instead of calculating the mean, what it will do is it will just take the previous observation and it will impute it that, because it knows that time as a the object is a time series object, and it knows what is t by minus 1 and things. That is the reason we have created the date object, because date is also a time series object, right? I mean, that is how the dates are ID, or the data is ID. Okay? So NA underscore mean is a function that would replace it with mean. It would do exactly what we did here. Okay. This is what it would do. But yeah, you would assume that, and random means it can put any value, but you know that this has a trend, right? I hope. See, I'm not going to the details of the time series part of how to do things, but time series has a stationarity, time series has seasonality, time series has a trend. There are a lot of things. Okay, maybe sometime if we are there, we can work on time series. But you need to understand that there are a lot of mathematical processes, statistical processes that go behind just a single time series. So anyway, so NA random, NA you can replace it with 0, you can replace it with something else, 100 or whatever, that's also possible. NA remove. NA, this is all simple imputation. Simple imputation means it just takes one value and puts whatever it is. Okay. It does not consider, for example, if you're looking at this data, you have to consider whether it is urban or rural. You have to consider whether it is what state it is. Is it maybe you'll have to look at the population as well. If you have a variable called population size, that also influences your CPI, right? Or many other things that you actually talked about, right? So single imputation or simple imputation takes only one variable and decides what should be the value to it, whereas there is something called multiple imputation. Multiple imputation, what it does, it takes multiple variables and decides what the value for it should be. Okay, am I making sense? Did I make it clear what simple and multiple imputation really means? Multiple imputation does not mean that it will put multiple values to it. It means that it takes multiple scenarios or multiple variables and then come up with the best value for it. Okay.
yes.
Other than that, there is another method, stochastic methods, and all. What it will do is it will get a pool of values that could be plausible, right? Like the value can be 180, 190, 185. It can be any of these values, and then it will take the best value out of it by mean or median or something. So that is called a pooled estimate. But anyway, I'll not go into that. But you have to understand that just like there are simple imputation values, there are multiple imputation values. These can be interpolation, moving averages, and the Kalman's method is also there. It uses two different methods and things like that. I'll not go into this. Are you okay with me not going into this?
Yes, so we'll do our own reading.
Yeah, I really hope that you do it on your own. But if you have any difficulty, I'm here. You can definitely ask me. I did not understand this. What does it mean? What does because I'm sure that interpolation. What does that mean? Right? It will be difficult for these concepts to be very clearly, clarified just by reading a paper. You might need some hand holding, but I'm not expecting that you would be masters in time series or time series imputation just by reading a paper. But at least you would be aware of the terminologies, right? And next time when you are looking at missing data, you know, okay, missing data is not just at random. It can be having patterns. It can be completely at random, sometimes at random. It can have, there are a number of things that you can think of. Okay? Anyway, I'll not go into that. Fine. Now coming back to the questions that we wanted to answer, right? Very quickly, by looking at the question itself, will you be okay to leave missing values out of the picture? Or you want some value to it? May it be the mean also, it doesn't matter.
So some value.
We want some values to that.
You want some values to it. It is not fair that I take out missing values. No? If I say NA is missing, remove NAs, it won't make sense because, right?
Yes.
So for now, will we agree collectively that looking at all the complexity, mean would be something that we'll agree that, okay, let us assume for now, the missing values can be imputed with mean.
Yes.
We can't
because
apply
we
LOCF
already
here,
used
sir,
it.
now.
Yes, we can do that. Yeah, LOCF would be a good option. Let us. No, I did not want to definitely go into any of that, but yeah, okay. Because many of the data has missing values in the right at the start. So, for example, look at Arunachal Pradesh,
Okay, sir.
right? Or any of these, Delhi. So, the first value itself is missing.
Yes, yes.
So, there are a number of issues with LOCF also. Okay.
Okay.
So, I did not want to even acknowledge that LOCF is an option now.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely LOCF can be used. Okay. Let us assume that
Yes.
we used it. Okay. But let us consider. But if you really want, I can do it, but I don't want to waste time. I can, yeah, we'll leave it at mean today. Okay. Let us try to answer these questions. But yeah, this is the first plot that we came up with. Okay. So does this answer the question that Lokesh was asking? We track the change in CPI for a particular state over time. Okay. Yes or no?
Yes.
I mean, CPI over time. Now,
Yes, sir.
does it answer the question or does it raise more questions?
Raises more questions.
What are the questions, probable questions that it raises?
So because there seems to be an overall increasing trend, then we might get more data by seeing like the rate of increase, like when it is slow or when it is greater. It is different.
Fine. Now let us look at the second question that Subarna asked. Na? Second question. Mean CPI,
Yes, sir.
right? Yeah. So Subarna, can you tell me? Okay. Can you tell me how would you answer this question using R? Are you guys getting late? It's 9 already.
No, sir.
It's
Not
okay,
yet.
no?
Yes.
Okay. But my issue is that without you guys working on it, I don't want to send you home. Okay.
Okay.
Do you
You
think
can
you'll
try
be
to do
comfortable
this
with
part.
working on your own questions now? If I share this script with you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me
Sure.
let me do all the questions, and then you can write the description and come up with a couple of more questions on your own. Okay.
So you said you are going to like do some interesting challenge earlier.
Sorry, I cannot hear you, Lokesh.
So you said that you're going to like add some interesting challenge to this when we first started. I remember just before we started with the question.
Yeah, no. I would these are the initial questions that we came up with. There are n number of other things that we can do in terms of, okay, is the change same for Maharashtra and Manipur? Is it the same?
So we'll have to overlay it like the two line graphs.
So those are the things I would want you to look at, right? So yeah, if you want, I can answer all these 4 questions right now, but I would prefer that you work on it. I will be here.
Yeah.
Okay. I think different states Parthi was trying to look at. No? This is the question you
I
want
want
to
to,
ask, right?
yes, sir. I want to make a multiple series line chart
Yeah.
that incorporate all the 27 or some states.
Yeah.
Is
You
it
can
possible,
do
sir,
that.
using ggplot?
Yeah, I'll just do that. Okay, second question, mean CPI of the country. What was the mean CPI of the country? How to find out the mean CPI of the country? DF long 1. Okay. How to find out the mean?
Could you summarize?
Summarize mean CPI equals to mean of CPI NA dot RM equals to true. Okay. So right now what it says that I cannot find summarize. Right. Oh, there's one more bracket I need to close. 139 is the mean CPI. Okay. But this is across all of the states, all of the years.
Yeah.
This is what the mean CPI is. 139.
Yeah.
Did you get it?
Hmm.
This is the.
Sir, we have to fix the year, na? For a
Yeah.
particular year.
So how would you do that?
You could group by.
Group by what?
Now that we have separate, we could group by year because the variable is set there.
Year. Then you got it for all of the years. Isn't it?
Yes.
Now, you would like to find out if something is above or below this year. Then you would like to label it as. So, for example, for 2011, if Karnataka has CPI more than 109, you would want to say it high. Isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Otherwise, you would want to say less. You want to
Yes,
do it
sir.
for the same for year 2012, 2013 separately, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how to do that? I would prefer that you Google it and work on your own rather than me telling you all the answers. Then you are
Okay,
not
sir.
even coming up with proper questions. Okay. I leave it at this because this is something that yeah, we already discussed. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. The next third question was yeah, compare decadal growth. You want to do it across all states? Okay. Then I would very quickly add this thing. DF long one, and then pipe it, and then say ggplot. What do you want the x-axis to be? Time, no? Day. So it is geome line, and then AES x equals to date, y equals to CPI, isn't it?
Yes.
And then color equals to no? See, COVID, this has happened. There are 2-3 values which are 0.
Okay.
No? So what you would like to do is you need to identify what those zeros are and replace them with NA.
Okay.
That is why this anomaly was coming.
Okay.
Okay. So how to
The
do
pipe
that?
itself, we can do a if value.
Yeah, here itself you can say, or you can, yeah, here itself you can say mutate CPI equals to I'll use if else. If else CPI equals to 0, then NA, else CPI. Now let me run this and see. So that means it's not 0, it's something else. Let me just look at the data. We are now this data, we are putting it, okay, 0.01. There are so many. I think anything
Less than
below
10.
100
That's not.
is an anomaly, right? It could be because of,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
anything below 100 could be an anomaly, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what we can do is we can just
Yes,
go
sir.
back here. CPI is less than 100. Okay, then NA. Let us run this and then go back here and then rerun this plot. Okay, more meaningful, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So Bharti, now the interpretation of this you might have to come up with. Okay, then what is the last question? Difference over time for each of the state. Okay, so your for a state, okay. Basically you're looking at inflation, right? Percentage change. Anand? Oh, maybe Anand is not here. We look at because Anand is from Kerala. Let us.
Sorry, sir. I have to pick up my child.
That's okay. That's okay. If you have to go also, it's fine. We'll only look for Anand, would you like to look for urban and rural, or rural alone for Kerala inflation?
Actually, my idea was to look at urban and rural difference, but when I looked at the data, there was no significant difference, I think.
Okay. So it looks like we are actually looking at, we have to select, what was that variable? Sector, no? Sector is not equal to rural plus urban. This is the data we have, right? For Kerala, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So now we need to say ggplot, and then we need to say geom line, and then we need to say x equals to date, y equals to CPI, and color equals to sector. CPI.
Mapping the aesthetics is not added.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Interesting. Now inflation is higher. We don't know yet. We have to estimate inflation. Maybe next time we'll come back. That's why I was saying that we need to come back to this data. There's quite rich information here in terms of learning for us.
Yeah.
Right now it looks very squiggly, but maybe we have to estimate moving average. Monthly moving average, if we are able to estimate, maybe every 3 months, if you can smooth the line. Let me very quickly do that for you.
Yes.
Interesting, no? With just one line of code, you're able to do the smoothing. And not just this, you can do the same for you can remove this geom line as well, and then very quickly only do the sorry. Oh, it should work. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want you to use geom smooth unless and until you understand what smoothing is. Enough. Okay. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to WhatsApp this script to you. Okay. I want you to write the interpretation of what you are seeing. This is the question you came up with, correct? And now we have answered this question just by visualization. This is just one tool. There are a number of tools for you to answer these questions. Okay, this is only one plot you've used to answer the question. You can use a table, you can use another plot or whatever also to answer this, but we are not going to go there. What I want you to do is I want you to work on RMD and write the description of what you are seeing below the plot. Okay. And then come up with additional questions, 2 more questions to that description. Okay. Now that you found out, okay, there is, not much difference between rural and urban across Kerala as time progresses. Okay. When it is being smoothened. But when you estimate the inflation, because this is just the CPI, when you estimate the inflation, is there any kind of difference? Because right now it seems to show that in rural inflation is higher, going higher, right?
Yes.
As compared to the urban ones, post-COVID, isn't it? Anyway, I would like you to come up with these questions rather than me telling you. What I'll do is I'll just copy paste this script here on the. Is it okay? I can just WhatsApp you all, no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And I want you guys to talk to yourselves. And you don't have to. I don't mean that you have to only work on your question. Okay. I want you to write interpretation of each of the question and come up with questions that you'd like to further ask. Maybe later on when you have a discussion, you can ask them to answer those questions or things like that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I've just shared it on WhatsApp. I'm going to stop my video, but I'll be here. We'll meet again. How long would you want to write the description and come up with a couple of questions?
Sir, I have
It's
to leave now. I thought we are doing this like all around.
okay. If you all prefer, you can do it at your own time.
Yes, sir, I would prefer that. My laptop is stuck again. Like I was checking.
Okay. Fine then. We'll stop here for today.
Okay, sir.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll try to upload the video tonight itself.
My
So that you
keypad,
guys can.
touchpad, nothing is working.
Sorry? Your keypad and touchpad, nothing is working.
No, sir. I'm working it like touch screen only.
Okay. I think, Shruti, you need to beg, borrow, steal.
Yes.
High time.
I just upgraded the RAM 2 days back, sir, like you said, to 16 GB. But still, it was functioning okay for Monday. And today morning, again, it started all this.
Yeah, that might not be a very good suggestion by me, but I did not want to impose that you have to buy, spend 50,000 or 60,000 on a new laptop just for this program. But this is like a essential tool. Nah, you cannot learn car riding on a tricycle.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, I'll leave you guys to it then. No, I'll take your leave. I think my wife and daughter also waiting. No? So maybe we'll catch up tomorrow. We're meeting, no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Chalo, see
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Good night, sir.
Good night. Good
Good
night.
night.